Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Ren for another spoiler discussion. And this time we are going to be talking about WWE Wrestlepalooza, which took place in Indianapolis last night. I have been very ill over the last 4 days, so I would normally be delighted to be talking about wrestling, thinking this is going to be great. This is a whole new start to WWE. We're going to have this amazing pay-per-view to talk about. And then, yeah, we'll be talking about it. But Ren, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Thank you very much for asking. I wrestled last night at Wrestlepalooza myself, so I got a bit of a stiff shoulder right now. I can't move it very fluidly, but I'm here to talk about all the night's events from someone who was there in person.
We are going to have a fun one. I mean, thinking of that, we didn't get you on for Clash in Paris. You were having the time of your life in Venice. You got to see many great films. And very quickly, because I know we've sort of spoke about it on Messenger and whatnot, just for people watching at home who might have had you on for the last video, very quickly, what did you think about Clash in Paris as an event?
I thought Clash in Paris was a great event. Top to bottom, I think they had one okay match, and everything else was great. From Roman versus Bronson, the tag team match, Rusev versus Sheamus was a banger. They've earned that pay-per-view spot for a long time. The Fatal 4-Way was awesome. It's really tricky to screw up a Fatal 4-Way, and thankfully they have not done that in a long time. And Cena versus Logan Paul, immensely entertaining, even if I don't think Logan Paul deserves that time in the spotlight. But yeah, thought it was a really, really good show. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but much better than this one.
Yeah, and there's a distinct irony there, because before we talk about this, we've got to talk about not an elephant in the room, but we spoke in Clash and Paris with Josh on. Me and him were very much that mindset of Clash could have been bigger, and it felt like they wanted to put the brakes on, because in the month between SummerSlam and Clash, the ESPN announcement happened. And then very quickly, the announcement got changed to Mania next year to actually be doing a new event in September. It's Wrestlepalooza, and it's ESPN starting now. Bye-bye, Peacock. Your farewell is Clash in Paris. And Wrestlepalooza was then billed as going to be this huge new event. It's a new streaming service. It's ESPN. It's the biggest sports company. Everything's going to change. It's going to Triple H on Friday. Expect surprises, he said. And
I don't think they know the meaning of the word, George.
It's a big deal for them, and I felt like the Clash card was screwed over somewhat. Yeah, retrospectively, then looking at last night's card, I also sit there thinking, actually, Clash wasn't screwed at all. You just delayed the women's match a month. Your thoughts heading into this event, because I'll just be really open. I think, except for the Punk, Seth, Becky, AJ stuff's goings on, story-wise, I'm not invested in anything from last night proceeding into... that's hard to say, because there was only 5 matches. The 6th match was going to be Nia versus Jade versus Tiffy, which has been moved to Friday Night SmackDown. So even if that had been on, that wouldn't have been inventive, because we've seen various scenarios of them all in one-on-ones for the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. So going into this, I felt a bit flat, but I was optimistic that this is a big surprise night. There's some big goings on. We're going to announce in advance that Cody is going to main event against Drew, considering he hasn't been on programming, essentially, because he's doing Street Fighter, but we're not going to say that, which is very odd when you think we'll get into that. Brock v. Cena is obviously the poster advertising. AJ and Punk v. Seth and Becky is the storyline advertising. But Drew Cody is the main event. Triple H says expect shenanigans. Maybe there's an expectation. But that was me heading quite flat into yesterday. What about you?
I was looking forward to Cody versus Drew, the tag team match, the mixed tag team match, and obviously Vaquer versus Io Sky, because you just know those two are going to put on a clinic. I think they could have helped the build of the Usos versus Division match if you had announced ahead of time that LA Knight was going to be the special guest referee. Because why wouldn't you announce that ahead of time? That's always exciting when you have a special guest referee. And Cena versus Brock has been why is this happening kind of match to me. And the match we got kind of validated those thoughts and feelings, to be honest.
No, I'm with you on that. I think, given as well that was the ending of SummerSlam, it makes you think it has to be bigger than what it is. I thought Survivor Series, obviously, I'm glad it's now we know. I'm glad it's not Survivor Series, which is Cena's penultimate appearance. I'm very hopeful it won't be Survivor Series. I have to also clarify because there's a possibility. I think, but yeah, I should have spoken about the women's match. I'm absolutely all on board for that. I think just because we know it's been vacated for so long, it was more of a when than if when that match was going to take place.
Yeah.
But as we'll do with these spoiler discussions, we're going to go through the card. We're going to talk about the matches. We want people to give their thoughts. So if you watched it live last night, let us know your thoughts. If you haven't watched live, you watch it today. We do want to know what you're thinking. If you're watching later on and we're not live, we will reply to any comments. So let us know what you thought of Wrestlepalooza. Let us know what you think of ESPN if you're American. Stephanie McMahon advertised VPNs to be able to watch the show on, to get around paying $30 a month for ESPN, which is insane. I think Peacock was $9.99, my understanding. Obviously, international folk like us, we get it via Netflix for free as part of Netflix, so we do get a win there. And we don't get adverts, which is also a new discovery from last night. 3.5 minutes after every single match. I'd rather take the weird loading screen than American adverts any day of the week. But yes, please do comment and get involved. But I guess we'll open with the opening match, which was John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. 15 minutes into the night, I should add, that it starts. Thankfully, unlike the last pay-per-view, it was a very quick entrance to get it going because Roman took like 10 minutes extra last time. But before I talk about it, I want to talk about Cena's entrance. When he brought out all the little kids, I thought it was hilarious. All I could think about was the ending of Weapons. Like when they storm the stage, and then a lot of people are obviously sharing Minions memes because the Cena merch yesterday was all yellow and blue. Now I can't unsee the Minions memes, but I just sat there thinking, and it really did hit me for the first time yesterday, like, Cena's not going to be here soon. I'm like, he's just so wholesome.
Yeah.
And it's, even though like normally I'd be fuming at all these kids, I'd have made a sarky comment normally like, I bet they had to pay thousands for that, knowing Tico. But I just sat there like, it's fucking John Cena, man. Like, he doesn't need to do this, but he is. Like, fair play. Love the guy.
You brought up Weapons. That thought hadn't crossed my mind, but just imagine the kids going out to the ring and ripping Brock Lesnar to shreds. That would have been much better than the match we got. I thought this match was, it happened. It's the exact kind of match that we all grew tired of seeing from Brock Lesnar. It's the same match we got all the freaking time when he was here on the regular. I don't even want to say when he was champion, because even when he wasn't champion, but it was still like on every pay-per-view and on every week and blah, blah, blah. It was this same kind of structure, the same kind of boring match that he always delivered. So I wasn't happy with this. I see no point in Brock Lesnar returning. I don't know what the point of the match was coming in. I don't know why Brock Lesnar is angry, quote unquote, at Cena. I don't know why he would want to fight Cena. I wasn't given a reason for it apart from we fought before. Okay. And John Cena has only won once. What does Brock Lesnar have to prove? Like, I don't understand it. And on the grand scheme of things, on the retirement tour, I also don't get it. What was the point of this match? Like, unless you give us a big twist where it comes the end of the year and it's like, you know what? I still got it. I'm not retiring, which would make this entire year a bit of a waste in and of itself. But unless you do that, I don't know what you're doing with last night's match for John Cena. I don't know what you're doing for Brock Lesnar, but I don't really care what you're doing for Brock Lesnar. That man should be in jail right now. Again, that's another conversation, but I don't know what this does for Cena.
I'm in the same boat. So when it happened after SummerSlam, I didn't think Lesnar was coming back. I thought it was incredibly stupid to bring him back, especially with an ongoing investigation. That's the ludicrousy I can't understand. And if I was in comparison, that's happened in football with the club I support recently. There was a known rapist in the team. Multiple people, public info everywhere. He got charged 4 days after he left in July. 4 days after he left. And the club were clearly orchestrating with the police to do it in a way like that. And it's disappointing to see matches of that. But there was something, I know you can't really compare football and wrestling, but there was something worse about the Brock one, is that it's obviously different. It's not football. It's not as global. It's not 11 people on a pitch, there's 20. It's very selective individuals will go one-on-one in that camera for X amount of time on a pay-per-view to then bring somebody back with it ongoing when it involves various other people high up. I thought that was insane, and fair play to the fan of the sign last night. I'm going to say that. The balls to take that sign in, the fact it obviously got through any form of security, it just so casually sat there. The broadcast team, who I'm not criticizing them at their jobs. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy either, but damn, they framed some of those replays to make it very visible when it shouldn't have been. If I was Mr. TKO, I'd be sat there thinking, why the fuck is a replay showing this? As in, that's what a board guy would be saying, not me. I need to really clarify that, because some people just glaze the company. I don't. But the match itself, I thought was awful, and I agree with everything you've said. If circumstances were different and Brock and Cena had to happen, part of the retirement tour, I don't even see Brock as a historic John Cena opponent, because I always think about Brock being gone before Cena was in. Now, if there was a storyline programming of Brock coming out being like, hey, we were at OVW together, we have a history, let's go at it one last time, Mr. Cena. But no, instead it was, I'm just going to come back at SummerSlam, I'm going to take out against Sami Zayn. I'm going to squash you in the match and leave. And I'm just sat there like, this has no relevancy, as you said, on Cena's retirement. This has no relevancy in the WWE picture scene right now. And I struggle to see why this needs to be a thing. It reeks of WWE's on ESPN. ESPN's got sports people. Brock Lesnar, the new UFC champion. So we bring out Brock Lesnar first to tell everyone, hey, look, we're more legit. But then you just have him destroying someone who everyone knows is a very successful actor now, which doesn't sell the products, and to me, sell WWE to the ESPN crowd who may have been watching. I thought it was a terrible match. I will say this sounds really horrible, it's not my intention. Cena looked wounded after a couple of first, I'm not saying, his body went red. After the first couple of, I forgot we called it, like shoves him into the corner, that body was bruising, and I was just sat there like, Christ almighty. Okay. I see no meaning for this match, and I loved the triple FU that Cena did, and the Brock kicked out. He did the F5s. I get it. And if this was some weird Goldberg storyline we're going to do for a year, I get it. But it's not. Cena's going in a few weeks, and this is what makes me nervous. I do not want Cena Brock at any of his last three matches.
No, I don't need to see Brock too. I don't need to see the win back.
And if Cena then, hypothetically, won in a rematch, what the fuck does that do to Brock's return angle?
Yeah.
Pointless. It's a pointless storyline for everyone. Even Paul Heyman coming out. I was like, great, we got Paul Heyman. But I was like, isn't Seth Rollins in storyline going to be pissed off at this as well?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he be pissed off?
It also felt last minute, like maybe intentional, but it felt WWE last minute.
But hey, it was a surprise. You weren't counting on it. Nobody was.
No.
So there's the surprise of the night. It's Paul Heyman coming out to introduce Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, probably the best thing I can say about the match was Paul Heyman coming out to introduce.
100%.
And the kids as well. But should we move on to talk about actual wrestling? Let's talk the second match of the night. The Vision versus the Usos. I don't want to start at the end, but I kind of need to. Jey Uso has apparently been officially diagnosed with a concussion today. So for people curious at home, we've got a group chat. We're very polite. We sort of work out when people are asleep and when they're not, so we don't do spoilers. I knew I was the only one watching by the end of that second match, and I was texting people I knew were awake. Like, what the fuck just happened to Jey Uso's head? Like, that was not a blood spot, but blood is everywhere. Like, it is all over the ring. And when it's like that quick, and the commentators aren't doing the usual, he's cut open, this is not scripted. It's now come out that after Jey Uso smacked Braun Breaker with the chair, it ricocheted back and cut his head open. I'm not going to make a joke about Jey Uso botching a steel chair spot, but he's now concussed and will probably be taken off TV for a couple of weeks because he botched a steel chair spot. Yeah, I know I've jumped to the end, but your thoughts on the spot before the match? I know I've done it the wrong way, but I just wanted to bring that because it was very weird. And also when it ended, he was folded under a table.
Yeah, I was very confused because, number one, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think Jey would have been the guy to eat the pin. Because since watching, I've seen a clip and you can see LA Knight going up to Jey and then going up to Braun, just say, spear, and let's finish the match because he fucked up. He's fucked up, I mean. But Jimmy being on buried under tables was a very hilarious visual. But the spot is still confusing to me. The spot is still so confusing to me because I've watched it time and time again. I don't understand how. I understand the description of he hit Braun Breaker and ricocheted back and he hit him. But the way you see it happening, it doesn't feel like that there's that much force in the ricochet. It doesn't look like it even touches him. So I don't understand what happened. But it's clearly that moment because when he hits Braun Breaker, he doesn't have anything. He's okay. And then the table goes up. It feels like it's hitting him back here on the chest, if anything. And then he's just leaning against the ropes. And he's just wobbly and woozy. So it was just a very, very confusing ending. But up until then, I really enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the playfulness of LA Knight as the special guest referee. I love the bit where Jimmy has a chair and he's like, okay, I'm just going to look away because he likes Jimmy, so he helps Jimmy out and all that. But I like that they went extreme rules, for lack of a better term for it.
I'm with you. The LA Knight special guest referee was strange. We spoke before about live that this is the sort of thing that should have been announced in advance because it does actually help the card. It gives something to it. Because I just thought, oh, great, another Uso Vision thing. Okay, the Usos are back together, but I know how successful they are. I don't really care. And whilst there's another big tag team going on that same night, unfortunately, this tag is going to be under the radar for that one. And I was really not disappointed, but I loved the LA Knight stuff. That, as what you said, right? There's only one, Michael Cole says it, there's only one person he likes in this match, and it's Jimmy. I'm like, have a bit of fun of the special guest referee then. It doesn't always need to be a super serious wrestler doing the best job they absolutely can as a referee until they get pissed off. I loved it. It was just like, you know what? I'd like you go do what you want to do. The rest of you, fuck off. I loved it. It felt a little bit different. It made it a bit funner on the eye. It was a decent tag match. The right people won, which is where I think Paris got it wrong with Roman. I know they did the whole year we've written him off. Could have still done that with Braun winning. I think that would have benefited his character in the long run. But I just... it was a weird match for me, this one. And I think the ending sort of thrown it that I was sort of enjoying it until I was sort of like, wait, where's this blood come from? I don't know if when he like pulls it up, like does he pull the sort of the metal up and it scrapes him, but it didn't look like it when it's coming down.
It could be. It's just the angle is not good for it. It's not bad because it's clear what it's showing. It doesn't look like what happened. But I mean, it clearly happened. Poor Jey Uso. Hope the best for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's just so confusing.
Yeah, and I hope Vision can move on from it in the way like, please don't just have another Bloodline Uso feud for a while. Take a bit of time off.
Take the titles from Judgment Day.
Yes, get involved in something of there. Obviously, Seth. Well, we'll talk about Seth later, but Seth could be like 3 different storylines at the moment. Yeah. So these guys need to. they're having a bit of a push without Seth at the moment, and I think the tag titles are next. That's what they kind of need. I think they're at the point as a stable where there needs to be a bit more silverware than just the main guy with the big gold. You need to have, okay. I don't think Becky's technically in the Vision. I know this is a different conversation. I don't read this current storyline as Becky joins the Vision. I read the storyline as Becky's defending. Well, Becky's with her husband more so than joining them. Otherwise, I think they'd all be together. But I'm glad Braun and Bronson are getting moments still, and I like them as a duo. I just think they need the next level now. And taking out the Usos is great for that character-wise. There should be absolutely no stopping them. I'm glad it wasn't this, like, the 10-minute entrance of them doing all the eating and everything. And it was just... We didn't talk about the return of Pat either. Yay.
Oh, well.
He didn't stay the whole night, though. I didn't realize till, like, this morning. I was like, wait, he disappeared at some point. I didn't even notice. As you said, thankfully. But I didn't care for his return. It was... The tag match was fine, but I think it pales compared to what comes after.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Because what came after is it the match of the night?
Match of the night.
For the vacant World Heavyweight Women's Champion, we have Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky. Obviously, Stephanie Vaquer won the Battle Royale Evolution, which promised her a spot at Clash in Paris. Obviously, we're delighted that Naomi is pregnant for her on a personal note, so it makes sense to vacate the belt. And without sounding like a business person, it actually makes sense to run this on ESPN's first show compared to Peacock's final show, even though the French will be annoyed. This match was outstanding.
Yeah.
To bring in, also, I want to add this, and this sounds strange to say, 2 international wrestlers, i.e., not just, oh, look, they're international, non-primary language English wrestlers, where some of the trailers are subtitled, whether it be accents or the language they're speaking, to bring in 2 completely different cultures of wrestling, I thought was fucking amazing. Yeah. And they gave us a incredible match. I'm so glad we'll get into it properly that Stephanie won.
Yeah.
WWE's put the faith in her to win it whilst it is vacant, because I don't think they would have had Naomi drop it in a nice way. I'm glad that they've given, and it doesn't damage Io or what she's done this year. Not and it would mean great if she hasn't won it again to keep it for a month or 2 to then drop it to someone in story. I think they've made the right decision with the winner. But what we got through that was just an outstanding match. And I love more than anything just the ending, the nod of respect between the 2 of them to show that this was more about the match than it actually is about the story, because the viewers aren't dumb. There is no story heading into this between them for the match. It is just a simple, one of us is going to be the champion and one isn't. And they played it like that, and the match was phenomenal due to that. But what did you think of it as well?
I love this. I thought these 2 created magic together. Their styles are perfectly compatible, but they're so different. They have sort of the same basis, I guess, for their wrestling. Because Io obviously comes from the Japanese stardom background, and Stephanie obviously from a lucha libre background, but she also trained in Japan and was champion in Japan for a long time. But the way they mix high flying with technical wrestling, there's no better way to put it than they created magic, and they let them go for the time that they needed. They have earned that time. They had the correct winner. Like you said, it doesn't hurt Io. If anything, with where their 2 characters are at this point, I think it would have hurt not just Io or not just Stephanie, but both of them. If there had been shenanigans, this needed to be who is the best between these 2 kind of match, and that's exactly what it was. And we're saying match of the night in a night that the bar isn't that high, but I think even if this had happened at Clash in Paris, it would still be match of the night, honestly. Maybe only between this and Rusev versus Sheamus. But this was incredible, and it's you brought it up, but it's interesting to think of what would have happened if Naomi hadn't become pregnant. Which again, congratulations to Naomi and to Jimmy Uso. I hope they found them buried under those tables. It's interesting what would have happened because I don't think Naomi, having been champion, should have lost this fast, but also it is Stephanie's moment. This is the moment you put you put the company on her back, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and I think with Io as well, the fact that she's been in 3 of the best women's matches of the year at a minimum, the triple threat of Mania, the triple threat of SummerSlam again last night. I know Evolution, there were phenomenal matches throughout as well, but she's had an unbelievable year so far, and it's great to see. I don't want to get into talking Vince too much, but there's just, if I'm going to be totally blunt, there's no way Vince would push a foreign Japanese wrestler. No. I know Oscar obviously was very obviously there for a very long time, but the way in which Io has had the push of, it's not about you, Io Sky, it's show them what you can do and we'll build around you and what that story pertains. Yeah. It doesn't matter that you might not be, not necessarily fluent because she does speak English, but will allow you to speak some Japanese as well and assume that they can't do that. And there's just something about the cultural difference within the company that makes it work. And I think Stephanie showed that, obviously, through what we've seen. She's been at the company, I think, just around about a year now. Mm-hmm. And in the last 7 months, she's already had 3 belts. She's probably on a Gunther level of essentially being in title belt since joining. And I can easily see her now going into various storylines. I still have one major concern that I feel like the women's divisions really need. I know the company needs a draft, but I think the women's divisions need it more than anything.
Yeah.
Because I do not think Stephanie needs to immediately be going up against Rhea Ripley. That is an obvious. I was going to say that's an obvious match at one of the big 4, Rumble or Mania, but I don't think it needs to be fed early. And I'm worried that it's the sort of thing they would try and do. And I also sit there thinking, I don't know who on Raw's roster immediately jumps out for Stephanie to go against. So I'm really curious at what they do with her in the championship. And again, I understand it's different reasons as to why, because obviously Io is going to be the storyline with the Kabuki Warriors. That's obviously happening in the background. You brought the fact there's no shenanigans. I'm thankful for that because I did think, is there a possibility they get involved to set up a feud elsewhere? I'm glad they didn't. But yeah, it was a phenomenal match with some not even like unbelievable spots, just at various moments. You know when you're getting into it, like, okay, right, we're at the end game of the match now. And it's Io taking down the pads off her knees to go for the kill. Then it's Stephanie, then it's Io again. The finish, like it had that unpredictability that I think is lost in many big matches. And there's nothing wrong with predictability being lost at times, but it felt great. Like this is a new champion, and even WWE like letting her go to her dad, show it on cameras, all that sort of stuff. I'm very happy for her. She's a worthy champion. The fans love her, the audiences love her, and we'll see where her story goes.
Yeah.
Next up, let's talk what should have been the main event of Wrestlepalooza. CM Punk and AJ Lee in a mixed tag team match against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, giving the sound editors a glorious job of merging themes for both genders, for both couples. CM Punk coming out in AJ Lee's husband jacket. Seth and Becky, exactly as you'd expect with them in wild matching synchronized costumes. This was my match of the night. Now, quality-wise, I'm not going to tell you it's better than what we just spoke about with the women's title match.
Yeah.
This is one of those, you could show this to someone that doesn't watch wrestling as an intro point, because it had everything you expected. It had comedy, it had drama, it had spots, grisly spots, fun spots, comedic moments. For me, it was perfect. But more importantly than this match being perfect, the story going into this was incredible. Seth and Punk, have had their own history for over a decade. Then you have the question of Becky Lynch being the man, being the best women's wrestler of all time. You've got AJ Lee, who wasn't the face of her respective era, but everybody who knew wrestling knew that she was the best women's wrestler of her era. But because she wasn't a Bella twin nor related to John Laurinaitis or in a relationship with John Cena or Daniel Bryan, etc., the person who was sacked on her wedding day, her husband was sacked on her wedding day, which is equally as bad as what happened to him. The return of AJ Lee, let's just say it straight away, she still has it. I was so happy for all four of them, actually, Mm-hmm. I wasn't concerned that this match could fail. I wasn't concerned that they wouldn't get the balance right. They'd had the perfect storm in regards to storytelling, the build-up, keeping them away from the proper scrapping of one another to let it happen in the ring. The inevitable build-ups of AJ being tagged in with Becky being tagged in. Oh, man, this had everything. What were your first thoughts?
Well, if the Io Sky Stephanie Vaquer match was all about the wrestling, this was all about the character. And like you said, it had great spots, it had grizzly, it had rough and toughness, it had great comedy, so many great beats in there. The bit where the ladies separate their husbands, push them into respective corners, just like, hold on, and then they go at it. Like, there's just the stomp. AJ Lee gives a stomp to Seth Rollins. Like, there's just this is fun. This is just fun. All four of them were having fun. All four of them were delivering fun to the audience. And like you said, you show this to someone who doesn't watch wrestling. This is one of those kinds of matches that only can work because of wrestling being wrestling, being what it is. And this is just fun. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. And they're still great athletes. Again, like you said, tons of great spots in the match. You still have like a match, but they just find those right moments and let's just have fun in here. Let's just laugh together with people watching at home, with people here live. AJ Lee, who hasn't been in the ring in 10 years, who never really got a chance to like have this spotlight, have this time in the ring during her matches. And she gets to work with her husband, and Seth Rollins gets to work with his wife, and everyone. Just, this is professional wrestling. I want this variation. I want to see a Stephanie Vaquer and an Io Sky followed by a match of this type, followed by a classic main event duel, and a better version of what we got to open the night. And this is what. If the rest of the night had been like this, sort of this back-to-back energy and synergy between matches of being so different, but all delivering kind of these little things that you want from wrestling, from professional wrestling, from a big pay-per-view, could have been an incredible pay-per-view if everything or anything else had been like these two back-to-back.
Yeah. I've got something really, not controversial to say, but it might come across really horrible. So... when we spoke about Clash in Paris, you got Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella, which was not a classic. And in the politest of terms to Nikki Bella, I was very critical of her performance. And to Josh, who's quite new to wrestling, who we'd love to chat with him about as he's getting into it, I was very scathing and pointing out that back in the day, she was never good, but she always had the limelight because of other reasons. And it was AJ Lee who was always the true champion of that era.
Yeah.
Which everyone within WWE clearly knows. What last night evidenced firsthand, 3 weeks apart, with the same opposition in the ring. AJ Lee has proven to the world why she was always the best of that respective Divas era. She was a wrestler. The excitement now, and their storyline isn't done with one another. AJ Lee now enters the CM Punk void of dream matches.
Yeah.
Is it the people that have risen up in the last 10 years that she has had the chance to go against? Is it your Baileys? Is it your Becky Lynch's? I'm going to be missing a few. Your Rhea Ripley's? Or is it going to be the stars of tomorrow? Is it going to be your Roxanne Perez's? Is it going to be Tiffany Stratton's? The answer is any and all of them are on the table. She signed a multi-year deal. She will be back. She can clearly still wrestle. All the women's wrestlers have been tweeting and posting about her. They're all so excited she's back. And I'm just happy for her and for Punk as well, not just as her husband, but what the pair of them have had to go through respectively. Outside of the ring, none of us will truly know that behind the scenes that went on. But the fact that both of them are back and are happy and have had the opportunity to perform in the ring together and to win that first victory together, it was just the perfect pairing and storm and story for all of them. Sorry, Nikki Bella, for me dragging your name in the mud, but I'm sure a lot of people that were watching back then think the exact same. And it just makes it more exciting about who she will be up against in the coming months and years. And, she was outstanding in the ring. And again, props to Becky Lynch and to Seth for, again, the Seth skipping around AJ Lee on the floor, Becky being throwing her at Punk and Seth on the tables and going through the table.
My God, what a spot.
And it looked horrible. And I'm sat there like, these aren't, as I say it without sounding sexist, these aren't divas when they're there for their looks and not to perform, right?
Oh, yeah.
These are wrestlers. Like, these are wrestlers. This is what they want to do. And AJ's deserved to have these opportunities now as the years have gone by with the women's revolution and everything that's come through it. And I'm really optimistic about what she gets to do. Now, I kind of said it. I don't know if you'd be the same. I sense there'll be a Becky one-on-one at a coming pay-per-view for the IC belt.
Has to happen.
Becky, I think, is on one of the best, not runs of her career, because there's a great many, but this heel Becky is quite something. And up against AJ, I'm sat there saying there's no loser to that feud. Whoever says the belt after that, they're going to be absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. Now, me being biased, me being me, I'd say, normally I'd be thinking Becky's going to have this belt through to Mania, but I'm sat there like, well, she's dropping it in maybe Perth or Survivor Series to AJ Lee. That's fine, because I reckon AJ is going to have a lot of people she wants to go up against, and she'll be able to have the, what would you say, not the mid-card belt as a derogatory way. I'm thinking this now, how I spoke about Vicker hasn't had the right opponent yet. Yeah. Heel Becky versus someone like Stephanie Vicker, that's a proper, like, not passing on the torch, but that's a proper title feud, getting them at it sooner rather than later. And I could see that happening now. I've said that out loud. But what do you think maybe for the future of AJ or for the future of Becky?
I think Perth, we see AJ taking the title from Becky. And from there, it really depends on AJ herself. But I would imagine she's never done War Games. So she might be interested in that. I don't know what the teams would be, because I'm debating the teams in my head, and there's always whether you want to do a 4-on-4 or a 5-on-5. There's one baby face too many for that potential women's War Games match, because on one hand, on the heel side, you easily have Judgment Day and Kabuki Warriors against Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vicker, Io Sky, and Bayley or Lyra Valkyria. But again, it's one or. You can add one more person to the heels, but then if you want to add like Becky Lynch, but then you would also have to add AJ Lee to the faces. And again, there's one baby face too many. And again, unless you want to take out either Bayley or Lyra, which I don't think would really make sense. You have to find a really good reason. Maybe the Kabuki Warriors take out Io Sky. You give her a bit of a... I know it's a crime to suggest Io Sky not be in the War Games match, because she's always the highlight. But you have to find a way to, get the right numbers in there.
Yeah, it makes it exciting on what's to come. And I think it's not dismissing Perth. It's in 3 weeks. We'll be at London Film Festival. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's like the one Saturday afternoon of the year where we're actually sat like, shit, the one we can all watch together. We might actually, none of us know at the moment if we'll be watching. I just hope that Perth is given an event they're fairly due. That's probably the best way of saying it. I know they had an Elimination Chamber in Australia last year, and that was fine. EC obviously is the prelude to Mania, so there's a bigger picture in the background. But I just hope this isn't treated like Survivor Series is in 3 weeks. I think they could. I know they've announced now they're going to obviously do the champions matches. That's 2 out of 5 or 6 on the card already. We know, but we'll find out. But any more to say on this mixed tag match? Because
no, just really fun. Take the Stephanie Vaquero and the Io match and this, and always deliver like a back-to-back of that kind of wrestling.
And then follow that up with The Undertaker announcing Stephanie McMahon that should be in the Hall of Fame in 7 months' time. I'm going to say it, I'm sorry. Did we really fucking need that on TV last night? No. I felt really happy for Stephanie. She clearly didn't actually know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
She seemed very emotional. There's a horrible irony that she's going to be in the Hall of Fame before her dad, which was something I thought straight away. It also felt like a bit too much, if I'm allowed to say this, of an in-joke within WWE. Not an in-joke, but she did a great thing with Triple H finding out he wasn't going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, they all talked about him knowing until they told him. This just felt like the next level of Triple H being like, well, I run the whole thing, so I'm just going to tell you live, the whole world watching on the first news show. Mm-hmm. I think, to me personally, that's just a bit too steep, and I don't think we need... Am I just going to say it? The only 2026 inductee that should be known is John Cena right now. Because
he's definitely not getting in 2026 because she's going to be the head of the class.
You think Stephanie would be?
I think so.
I think it's got to be Cena, and then she'll go in.
No, I think when Cena gets inducted, he has to be head of the class.
But I just thought that
because of this, he's only getting in, 2027 or whatever.
Oh God, I hope he's not. Saudi Arabia will probably pay $100 million for him to do it a year later.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just think
also,
because it's
is this the earliest we've had the first?
This is what I thought. No one's thinking about Hall of Fame. No one's even thinking about the Royal Rumble yet.
Yeah,
I just thought it was
like I got spoiled. I mean, I don't care about it. I actually got one result spoiled, and then this as well. But I didn't care about this, and I was like, Hall of Fame already? What? I genuinely thought it was a meme online for some reason, because like why would they be announcing it this early?
Watching it live, because obviously if you've had it spoiled, right? So the moment Undertaker came out, started talking stuff, you probably that's where it's going.
Yeah,
I sat there thinking, holy fuck, how much of Saudi Arabia paid the Undertaker to start preparing for WrestleMania 2027?
Oh my god!
Then he goes by Stephanie. I was like, oh my god, is he going to kidnap her again for the Saudis? And I was just then when he said you're in the Hall of Fame, it was just a bit like, huh? Like, you're a bit like, hello, this is a bit early.
Yeah.
I just think all year round I've just been like, yeah, well, Cena would headline 26 because he's doing retirement this year. Assuming he does headline it, I'd imagine they want him to do it with it being in Vegas, like being near at least LA in a polite way. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy for her to be inducted. I think there is a place for her. But she clearly didn't expect it, and it was a nice moment. But again, when you're already tired and it's like almost 3 in the morning, you start like, did this really need to be on Wrestlepalooza? Because then obviously what did follow was the main event, which was Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Now, I'm not one to dismiss Cody Rhodes. I love him. I love Drew McIntyre. You've known my thoughts on the Cody belt with Cena. I loved their match at SummerSlam with one another. It was what their main event should have been, which everyone knows at this point in time. The thing that I really dislike is Cody winning the belt, disappearing to do Street Fighter, which I completely understand, and I understand that he's in it and he can't be there. I'm also very happy for him that he's going to be in Street Fighter, by the way, too. I just... Maybe because we were to film a little bit more. The Drew writing Cody off for 5 weeks was like, oh, okay, he's doing Street Fighter, cool. But then for them to main event Wrestlepalooza, I thought was a big no-no. Unless Mr. Triple H on Friday expects surprises, expect the unexpected, whatever. So I'm sat there thinking, oh, if this is the main event, something big is going to happen. And this is ESPN's first show, right?
Mhm.
So you'd expect you either end on something big or you end on a high or you end on, let's say if it was Vince, it ends with the belts being given to Brock Lesnar. Okay, we know that.
Yeah.
But to make this the main event, not swap belts, which isn't an issue I have with Cody retaining at all. I just think as a main event, it was really poorly put on the night.
Mhm.
And obviously, we're all sat there thinking, oh, do you remember last year when Punk Drew should have main evented? And then because The Rock wanted to come out and say hi, everyone started thinking, is The Rock going to return? This had no business basically main eventing over the tag match, going off storyline, going off the last build up for 4 or 5 weeks. I love Drew. And I think where I'm kind of lost in this match was it was just very average for Cody standards that, oh, we've got to play at the fact that Cody's been injured for 5 weeks. So we'll just have him stumbling in the ring for a head injury. And I'm just sat there like, again, I know he's in Street Fight. I know not everybody knows that. This looks really stupid in a main event. Like, it wasn't a bad match.
Mhm.
I just felt like it was on SmackDown. And I wish, if I'm really honest, if I'm allowed to say this, I know I've let you speak, I'll let you speak after, but the whole winning the belt of Cena, then disappearing for 5-6 weeks, I know he had to beat Cena. It should have just been Cody dropping the belt to Drew to then disappear for 6 weeks. Not because Cody's not there, but Drew gets nothing out of this feud. It doesn't set anything else up for down the line. Now, I think Street Fighter is still filming for a few more weeks, so I think only filmed at the start of September. Like, they must be halfway through filming now, or at the minimum. It's a fighting film. It might take longer to do. I don't know how big a role Cody's got. We know Roman's obviously, Street Fighter big. I mean, Roman's one of the main villains, right? So Cody's going to be most important. Cody, obviously, you don't know his schedule, but
he's got to be supporting. I wouldn't imagine.
I was going to say
he is one of like the main characters.
Did you see the photos of them at the theme park in Australia?
Yeah.
The 50 Cent one was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I've just got to say that. But Roman did none of it, which is I sort of find funny, which adds to him as a villain in his Adam Drive away. What did you think of the match? And just what I was sort of saying there with the structure, because I don't know if I'm in a minority.
No, go ahead.
No, that's what I was just saying. The whole thing. I'm just curious of your thoughts, like it main eventing or not changing the belts, that sort of stuff.
I thought this was a really good match. I don't think these guys can have a bad match. I think if anything, like you were talking about, the fact that like Drew took Cody out for 5 weeks and he was done, there should have been more exaggerated, more in your face about it, because he played it so well to the point where everyone thought, oh, he just genuinely slipped in there. Or he's just feeling genuinely woozy, blah, blah. I agree with you. I think this match, because you're not going to take the title off of Cody right now. He just won it. You can't. That would not make him look good. But like you said, Drew also gets nothing out of this feud unless, and I'm going to get a little bit ahead of ourselves here, George. Next month, Crown Jewel, we know the main event. I think we all know that Seth Rollins has to win. And I don't know that I would do this match for Crown Jewel because there's so much history there. I wouldn't waste this match on a Crown Jewel, but hey, that's what they're going to do. I think Drew comes back and costs Cody the victory, and they have a rematch after that. Or rather, not after that, but then you have War Games, and you have Drew on the other side with Cody on one of the teams as well, and then you do Cody versus Drew again, and that becomes a bigger match, sort of a Hell in a Cell or an Extreme Rules or blah, blah, whatever. Because both of these guys, whenever they've done trilogies or big, long programs with someone, they nailed it. But yeah, I think this match, again, you say the mixed tag should have been the main event. I would have put this right before the mixed tag, and our main event would be a title match because it's on ESPN and all that. And for a vacant title, nonetheless, where either or, no matter where it goes, either Io Sky or Stephanie Vaquer, we're going to have a new champion regardless. So I think that should have been the structure. again, I don't think these guys have a bad match. I think it's a little bit better than a SmackDown, but I think just it's like it's a better version of what I'm about to compare it to. But when we had the Tiffany versus Trish match at Evolution, they didn't have a bad match, but it was just very safe for both of them.
Yeah.
These guys at least had time to like have those breather moments, have those character moments in between character beats and all that. But it was just, I've seen these guys can do this and they do this really well, but it just didn't impress at all.
What's the sorry to put on the spot? Is there a history with Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre at all?
With
Bloodline.
Sami and Drew, you can get into the fact that Drew was trying to take down Roman and the Bloodline while Sami was there. But other than that, I don't think there's anything direct with those two.
Can I make a terrible prediction?
Please?
Going off of various reports, which we all know with wrestling, take it as a pinch of salt, Sami Zayn is the one of two favourites to win the Royal Rumble, right?
Yes.
If they're going to do the Sami Zayn underdog story, is Drew McIntyre the champion he should be going up against at WrestleMania as a heel?
Oh, okay.
That's just come in my head in the last 3-4 minutes because that's why I was asking, do they have a history like, you know how like KO and Cody had the great history of we were friends and then you teamed the Bloodline, and Triple H is I know he's been getting criticised a lot recently. He's very good at not only the long-term storytelling, but piecing the crumbs and enabling people to not forget the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Punk is obviously going to be in a Seth Rollins feud through to Mania, I think we're very safely going to be able to say. And I would rather have Punk winning that Rumble than Sami. But Sami is obviously someone they've spoken about a lot recently.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to have Sami versus Cody as a, you can't build up to face versus face across 2 months.
No.
But you could have a heel of heels versus the underdog to do so. And because what you just spoke very well about Cody, and if Cody Drew went into a proper storyline, that one-on-one match you spoke about, that's not going to be happening till Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're going to get Survivor Series, we're going to get Saturday Night Main Event, which is all about John Cena. Then that'll be it. There'll be, there's never anything at the start of January. It's then you hit January, then it's the Royal Rumble at the end of the month. So you might have already planted the seeds of January's big Royal Rumble, and it's September.
Honestly, I've been of the mind that I think Sami should win next year's Royal Rumble, but in my head, he goes against Seth Rollins. Because who is the first person Seth Rollins went after when he turned heel after WrestleMania this year?
Sami
Zayn. So I think there's a history there. And those two certainly do have history.
Punk Drew.
Again, those two have history. You could do, I think you can do Punk Cody at Mania. Because Punk has always been that guy who, yes, he's a heel. Yes, he's a face. He's a tweener. That's who CM Punk is.
What do you think of the last thing I'll say before we start to round out? Because I know we're talking about non-stuff. A lot of people were thinking Randy Orton would turn up last night. When I spoke about unexpected goings on, obviously Cody being main event, some people thought The Rock. A lot of people were saying Randy Orton heel turn on Cody Rhodes. Now, that everyone knows is a long-term dream. We know it was in action it wasn't in action based off the Netflix documentary, but everyone has spoken online about a Cody Randy Orton at some point, title match or feud, Randy going heel.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if anything comes from that in the coming months. Do you think Randy's going heel? I mean, you just spoke really about Punk being a tweener. Randy Orton could be a heel. No one's booing for him.
No, not at this point. Not at this stage in his career.
He'll get cheered. You know, like Punk and Seth, like, we're not going to hit your wife. Randy Orton would have RKO'd both of them.
100%.
No hesitation. And I'm excited. If Randy does go heel for storyline purposes, I'd be really curious to know who he might go up against in the coming year or whatnot. But a lot of people thought he might have done that yesterday. Sure, I hope it will. But it just makes me think about these possible scenarios for long-term story, because obviously when you do you start your build up to WrestleMania, and it's, although we're only really a few weeks past SummerSlam, the WrestleMania the tickets were on sale this week. The discussion, because it's the road to the Rumble, but the Rumble is really about the road to WrestleMania, and it's all goings on now. And if 2027 is going to all be about legends coming out of retirement for that WrestleMania, next year's going to be the last normal WrestleMania. It's just, we went, But final thoughts, Cody Drew. As I said, for me, it was a good match. It's just, I think the placement of it was a bit lost. I think you were right. End the show with the women's new women's champion, the vacant title, to have the celebration. Best way to do it with the fireworks. Everyone goes home happy. And it was, the best quality match of the night. It's nothing against Cody either at all.
Or Drew.
I just think, it's just, I think because they've not been really able to really promote it for obvious, understandable reasons, it's made it then difficult to see it crop up as a boom, here's the main event, right, let's move on. So I'm with you. There's got to be, that'd be much better. I'd much rather Drew finds a way to screw Cody in a few weeks, as long as he doesn't join the division. That wouldn't work.
No. I don't think he would, to be fair. But
he did join them for a week just to then claim more Seth to get.
He can join them for War Games if he wants to, but that's it.
Yeah, bit like Judgment Day that time. But that being said, if I go into my final thoughts on Wrestlepalooza, I didn't think I'd be speaking an hour on it, to be fair. There were two phenomenal matches for me. There's only one poor one, but I think where I'm lost of this is WWE went into their own hype again. And I'm just going to say, let themselves down. I don't think they've let fans down. I mean, the price is yes. But I don't think that many fans went into this weekend thinking this is going to be the best event of the year. I think WWE decided to have that mindset and tell everyone it would be when we knew it wouldn't be. All the Indianapolis overhyping again, and the crowd were dead for most of the night, just like the Royal Rumble, by the way. All that nonsense of, they're only quiet because it's an outdoor building. They were quiet again in a non-arena. And I just think it was a bit of a disappointing event for something thrown last minute, but it gave us some extraordinary highs, and I think people will be talking about them more so than anything else, which is fine. And it just leaves us hoping that Crown Jewel, it's weird to call it Crown Jewel Perth because you think of Crown Jewel, you just think of Saudi Arabia. But it's just, I don't want to say I'm optimistic. I'm intrigued by what will happen because obviously we know, I guess now we've had the events, we know we're obviously going to get Tiffany, but depending on what happens on Friday, we're going to get Tiffany versus Stephanie McCurr, and we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. I'm excited for both of them in their own way. I just don't really care for the champion versus champion. You get the whole logic was Saudi Arabia give them their own silly belt for a year.
It's if there's one thing that I don't like about the Triple H era, and the Triple H era is much better, still much better than so many eras we've gotten before. Sorry to the internet. I see so many comments on the internet saying, "Oh, this is the worst." No, I was there in 2019. This is not the worst. This is nowhere near the worst era. It's the same thing as when we used to have the Survivor Series Raw versus SmackDown, where suddenly for 1 month everyone was like, "I'm very loyal to my brand. I work on Monday, so I definitely care about it a lot." It's the same thing. Also, with that Crown Jewel, isn't Cody Rhodes the Crown Jewel champion? So he's just defending the title against Seth. It's not vacant. I was there like last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. Cody won the title, so he's the champion.
I think it's like King of the Ring. You just get it because you were there that day.
Yeah, exactly. I think also for the women's title match, they got themselves in a very tricky situation where Tiffany has been undefeated for the entire year. So either A, she retains and she loses her first loss at Crown Jewel because Stephanie just won the title. You have to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
You can give the title to Jade on Friday, but then she's going to lose her first match since becoming champion. You don't want that. The other option is just giving the title to Nia, which is the most boring option possible that nobody wants, and you're going to get a terrible match out of it. That's Crown Jewel. So Very, very tricky situation. I think the best case scenario is Tiffany just retains and finally has her first loss of Crown Jewel, and then finally turns heel, because she should turn heel. It's about that time.
Yeah, I think her versus Stephanie is the best match, and Tiffy can lose that and come out of it fine.
Exactly.
That's the thing, and it would make sense. I just think it will show how much, again, the women's divisions need to be refreshed.
Yeah.
Make some switches, do what they need to do, promote some people if they need to promote some people. There's some tricky goings on with that at the moment for me personally, and I think they're going to be in a struggle with both SmackDown and Raw with the women until they address that. Because the one thing that's got going for them great at the moment is the mid card. Well, for Raw's mid card, I can't say the same about SmackDown's. A different conversation, sorry, Julia, but that is everything, I think, on Wrestlepalooza this year. So once again, everyone, thank you all for watching along. People have commented as well. We'll reply to those. Some people are disappointed the John Cena result, which I understand. We'll obviously be doing a Crown Jewel video. The details of that are TBC. Maybe we'll even be in person together doing a video. That's a possibility. It's genuinely a possibility. And sorry, no, we might be in Australia.
I only have one movie that day. I can generally watch the show as fast as possible.
If I've only got one film too, we could probably watch the show together. But mine depends on mine. I don't want to tempt fate. Mine depends on red carpets. That sounds really up itself.
Fairs.
Basically, I'd like to watch it with you in a non-weird way, and let's try and make that happen.
Yeah,
we'd literally come out. Probably, I can't remember what film it is. There'll be a really depressing, pressing film at like 10 in the morning, and we're going to come out, and it's going to be Australia. Yeah. And it's going to be Rhea Ripley screaming because we're all there on Netflix and everyone else is like emoting to the film. But yeah, we'll have more details. That would be really cool to do a video in person. But maybe there'd be another person. I don't think Josh is around, but who knows?
Lots of Joshes.
Yeah. People watching, that will make more sense. We promise you in a few more weeks. So that is everything we can talk about Wrestlepalooza. Ren, you've spoke about Venice. You've been very busy. You've been on holiday as well. You're going to be at the film festival. What else is going on the channel? People can obviously subscribe. You've got the podcast as well.
Well, like an idiot, I forgot my camera on the way to Venice. I forgot it at home. So I did write reviews from when I was in Venice, but I haven't made any videos yet. So I need to finally start catching up on that, plus on the movies that I'm catching up now that I'm back to London, because there's so much to catch up on. So be on the lookout for Venice reviews for... I'm going to just talk about the movies I really enjoy. I really have something to say. Frankenstein, Jay Kelly, No Other Choice. I'll be talking about Begonia, After the Hunt, and a few more of the surprises that really might not be in your radar in there for the next few weeks, few days. And then once that's done, we got the London Film Festival. So get ready for that, because a lot of movies in a short amount of time.
Definitely. Everybody, please follow and subscribe to read reviews as well. It's been amazing to get you into wrestling again. I didn't think we have an hour. I'm very surprised in a great way. It's been lovely chatting with you. Obviously, we didn't get to chat about last night, which is why as well it adds it more. So that is it from this video. People watching, what else is going on? I've been ill, so I've not been at the cinema. There will be a review this weekend, next weekend for One Battle After Another. There will be a review on Tuesday for Tron Uprising, the very, very underrated and underseen Tron series, which is arguably the best thing they ever put out in that franchise. And after 3 weeks' time, will probably still be the best thing that franchise has done. Because Jared Leto, you are not that guy. And there's a lot of Tron things going on every Tuesday, and then we'll be doing the London Film Festival. I'm definitely seeing Knives Out. I've got local tickets for that to watch that opening night, but there will be London Film Festival reviews, and the schedules and all that stuff will need to be read and worked out, and then videos will go up on the channel. So thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.